It is one of the most challenging jobs on earth, raising children. Despite the pride and joy parents display in rearing their kids, there are times when it all seems overwhelming. In particular, when a child becomes 12 to 13 years of age. That's when the changes happen, the big growth spurts, the hormones are churning, and there are the pressures exerted by parents and peers. For most families, it's a time for patience and understanding, but there are families that cannot cope. The tension and friction becomes too much, something has to give, and the child can no longer live at home. Too many of them end up living on the street. One alternative is Oolagen. It's a youth mental health center. Tonight, the first of three parts, looking at what Oolagen is and does, and what might happen if it wasn't there for Amanda, Catlin, and Nada.
It was a lot of arguing and fighting and yelling.
I didn't care about school. I didn't care about anything. I just wanted to get high.
I struggled a lot with thoughts of suicide, thoughts of harming myself. If I didn't come to Oolagen, I probably would be still struggling.
The girls have a couple of things in common. They all have been deeply affected by serious mental health issues, and they all got crucial help at Oolagen.
1 in 5 kids struggle with mental illness, and I'm one of them. When I was 14, I was bullied, and that led to a lot of stress, which eventually led to me being diagnosed with anxiety disorder.
Catlin has and is getting therapy, a huge help that has allowed her to get her life on track. And because of her experiences, she made a video to help other teens and expose the stigma attached to mental health.
Disabled. One of my teachers a while ago just said, "Stop it, you're acting crazy." I still remember it that day. I remember what I was doing, and I remember thinking, is this true? Like, am I acting crazy? Is this what my classmates are thinking of me as well? And I don't think anyone should hear that, especially coming from, a teacher or anyone.
How valuable, then, is something like Oolagen?
So I think it's really important to let, especially young teenagers, know what's out there for them to help them, so they wouldn't feel alone. There's a lot of places like Oolagen out there.
So why do we need a place like Oolagen?
Because kids struggle. When kids struggle, families struggle.
Yeah.
And sometimes the only way to really help is to get the kids' help and the families' help.
With no rules, no curfew, I started doing a lot more drugs. Cocaine, MDMA, ecstasy, liquid G.
Well, here you were, the kid from hell.
Yeah.
Angry at your parents, fighting with your parents, doing drugs, not showing up at home.
Like, I used to fight, scream, and yell at my parents, but now we get along really good.
I've seen families like falling apart and being torn apart because of one individual. So to save your family, you really do need to get your youth help, right? Take them out of the home. I'm not saying give up on them, but you really need to recognize that you can't do it.
I had to come in and interject and be like, no, you guys gotta stop it. Like,
you were just a kid.
I was just a kid.
By the time Amanda came to Oolagen at age 14, she was burned out at home. There were nasty battles there. Her mother is bipolar, her grandmother schizophrenic. What was life like at home?
It was hard. It was a lot of arguing and fighting and yelling. And yeah, I did lose a little bit of my childhood, but I don't blame her for that. And it helped me become who I am today.
As a society, we have to decide what really matters. And kids matter. And if you can help kids when they're young, the likelihood and probability of them becoming productive adults is hugely improved.
Tomorrow night, what happens when there is no immediate help and a kid does end up in the streets with nowhere to go and no one to talk to? This Thursday is a major fundraiser for Oolagen. If you'd care to help by making a donation, the web address is up on the screen.